All right, I just want to say something before we get into Twister/Twisters, okay? We used to be a proper country, Anthony. We used to have sex scenes in our movies, and if we didn't have sex scenes, we at least had a nice makeout session. And when I tell you
Wow.
the fact that they deprived us of a Daisy Edgar Jones, Glenn Powell makeout session, these people should be in prison. And you know what? I heard that Steven Spielberg was the guy that told them not to do it because he didn't want to have a quote unquote cliche. Let's put aside the fact that the end of the movie is him running into the airport to stop her from leaving, as if that isn't cliche enough. But then you deprive me of a Daisy Edgar Jones makeout session? Like, can I not have anything? I work hard, Anthony, and you know what? I take what little money I have to go to the movies, and I deserve that. So I just want to get that out of the way, that I rated this movie 3.5 stars, and it would have been a 4 had I gotten that. So just everybody let that breathe for a second, okay?
I just found out about this the other day because, like, when I watched it, I didn't even I didn't feel any left out because I just had no context. But apparently, yeah, it's a thing. Did you know this going into the movie?
I did.
Or,
I did.
Oh,
I
so
almost didn't go see it.
So you're just
I
you're
almost
seeing all this
boycotted it.
chemistry, all this like romance happening, knowing you're not going to get anything
Right.
from it.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
turned and I
hard.
looked at
That's
him.
hard.
I looked at Amanda halfway through, and I was like, "By the way, there's no sex scene." She's like, "I don't care." I was like, "I just want to tell you that so you know, so you're not holding out hope that there will be one."
But I'll say this: these movies are. It's such a like. It gets so artsy, and I love it. It gets so art house where you have folks staring at the sky. Like both of these movies are like they're very similar. Oh, sorry, they're very similar in like the points that they hit. Like there's a group of guys, and then there's this other group of guys, and there's this female leads that are fucking. They're crushing their roles, but you just can't replace the beauty of people looking at the sky. Like that is so ethereal. I love that. I love that kind of those points.
The scene in Twisters where they get the twins, right? And they all kind of like the music and the sound fades out, and they're just showing the two tornadoes kind of doing a dance. And like I remember thinking like it's really pretty. Like it was a really great moment to see, and I'm glad that I saw it in theaters. And I gotta say, Twisters was a lot better than Twister for me. Just way more enjoyable, way more intense. And Daisy Edgar Jones obviously helps that a lot because she's bad as fuck. But like it was a blast. I really enjoyed it. Twister, I think, like obviously it's dated now, and I have some gripes with that movie, but it was fun for what it was. I just think Twisters was way better. Technology is way. It's like watching a 1990s Godzilla movie versus a 2024 Godzilla's movie or Godzilla
Maybe
movie.
not
Like everything's just gotten so much better.
There's some shitty Godzilla
True, but
movies
similar.
out there.
Similar.
But it was like the first of its kind, and I think for what it was, that's why I think Twister, the original, has such a special place for a lot of people because I mean, it has that Jurassic Park feel. Like the first time you're seeing like these massive tornadoes fucking shit up in a movie form, same time you're seeing dinosaurs on the screen. It very much has this special place, I think, in a lot of people's memories, and me included, because I don't remember seeing this movie as a kid, but I remember the movie itself. Everyone has this image of a cow flying around too. So it's definitely sentimental. And it was cool to kind of go back into that world, right?
Yeah.
With a new technology.
And like the cast is stacked, right? And did you notice that the main character in Twister is in Nightcrawler, by the way? But I thought that
Really?
like the Philip Seymour Hoffman's great. He's the cameraman on the rival crew. That's him.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Interesting.
The guy in the van.
Which character?
That's him. That's
the guy with the pretty eyes.
So so Bill Paxton plays Bill in Twister, and he also plays the news van that Jake Gyllenhaal first meets. The van where he's like, "Hey, how much you?" Yeah.
So you're talking again, ties Twister.
Yeah. Ties between Nightcrawler and Twister, man. But I think like the one thing that bothered me about Twister is the fact that they're Dorothy, like their equipment literally gets destroyed like 4 separate times, and then in the next scene it's completely fine. Like there's not a dent or a scratch on it, and it happens like the first time I noticed it I was like, all right, whatever, like I'm not gonna nitpick this. And then it happened a second time and I was like, okay, seriously. And then it happened a third time and I was like, guys, like it's just put a dent on it or something, man. Like it's like literally gets thrown up in the air with a truck, falls down on the ground, crash, boom, next scene, all good. All good, dude.
That's how I felt about the leverage scenes. You know, like the first time they use leverage, I'm like, wait a second, no fucking way. And then they do it again, and then they do it really for the end, and I'm like, okay, I get why they were doing it, but like, I don't give a fuck how much leverage you have. You're not lifting that truck back up on its axle, you know, not by yourself, not without a tow truck. So, but like I said, these are fun movies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with the first one, how good it looked for being a 1991 movie. Like it was, or no, 1996. But like it looked really good. Like the special effects were solid, and like it is very anxiety inducing. The second one is just like the music in it is great. The storyline is great, and the special effects are awesome, man. It's just a fun fucking ride. Like it's very anxiety inducing, and like I really liked the ending. I liked the premise of it, of them basically trying to figure out how to get rid of a tornado. Like I thought it was cool. And I don't know the science behind it. Doesn't seem very legit, but like it still was a fun movie to watch. Yeah. You know, I'm glad like, that.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was just gonna say I'm glad that you know they remade it. You know, I'm glad they made a sequel to. I don't know. It's kind of part remake, part sequel, whichever one you want to call it. But I'm really glad they did it.
Yeah, and they're gonna make their money back. This is a movie that was there any applause at the end of your screening?
So we always go on Tuesdays, so we're always the only people in the theater. Like we go on Tuesdays at like 1 p.m. So there's like never anybody there. There was like a handful of people that were like laughing and cheering, but nah, nothing big. What about you?
There was a handful. It was just a couple days early screening, but there was definitely some applause, and I was like, look at you guys, y'all really love that. You know, it's like I said, it was good, but I didn't think it was like, you know, like my favorite movie of the year or anything like that. But it's wild how both of these movies open up with some very traumatic shit. You know, like some heavy trauma. Because like when Twisters, when the first scene of Twisters, I didn't realize how naive the characters were in their reality. Because at first I'm like, if this is the professionals, like these guys are fucking, this is a crazy movie. This is a crazy approach, you know, because like having experienced that kind of stuff, like you learn very quickly like how fucking crazy these tornadoes are. And that's the point of these intros, you know, is that these tornadoes they don't give a fuck. They will level anything, you know, regardless. And whether it's your loved ones or your romantic, your relation, like it doesn't matter. Like the shit can happen. But crazy opening scenes in these films too.
Yeah, and we've you and I both have experienced some tornadoes in Alabama. Nothing to this degree, but I remember in middle school or high school, like, you know, seeing a tornado in Alabama. Like obviously we're not up close like that, but they come through Bama every once in a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I have a couple of close up encounters with tornadoes, and the first one was when I was in college. So my freshman year in college in Tuscaloosa, at Alabama, was a massive tornado, and it was EF4 that came from Tuscaloosa through Birmingham, and just
I remember that
this insane. So what had happened? Like it was in the afternoon in Tuscaloosa, and I was with a couple of girls at their apartment, and my dumbass, like weather has never scared me to the point of like retreating. I've always been one to say, I'm going to fucking soak this in, you know, whether it's being in the ocean during a crazy storm, like wading in the ocean, or being outside and watching trees. And it's just, weather is fascinating to me. Right. But this situation happens. So a massive tornado happens, power goes out, communications down, and I'm outside. Like I want to put eyes on this thing and see it. So we're all looking out one angle of the apartment complex in one direction, and we don't see anything. It's pretty calm, in fact. And so I go around the apartment complex to look at the other side, and all I see is fucking black. And then the sound starts to happen where it's literally just like a roaring sound. And like when you are in a situation where there's a handful of people that instantly all at once like flee in a direction, it's pretty powerful, you know. So like everyone runs inside, and the girls go in the bathroom, and I give them like a mattress, and then I look out the window too. Bad idea, right? I mean, glass fucking shatter your face off, right? But either way, I can't not. I don't know. It'll get me one day. But
yeah,
seeing street signs go from perfectly vertical to literally laying on the ground is just insane, you know. And like something that Twisters does a really great job of. I wasn't injured. There was a lot of trauma and a lot of death and a lot of bad shit
I
that came
remember
from
that
tornado. So it's really tragic. But which is something that I think that these movies highlight well, is how it impacts, you know, those people, but also the silence after a tornado is you can't express that type of silence when you're going from pure destruction at the most degree to nothing. It's just like it's just unreal, you know. It's like, where are we right now? But that was a crazy experience because you got everyone still, as the sun's going down, is kind of now assessing the damage. So like you almost have everyone kind of coming out of their cave to now realize like there's like nothing left in that direction. You know, it was crazy. I mean, you had people rolling folks in shopping carts to the hospital up the road.
That's fucking insane, dude.
It really is.
Like,
you know,
and I do remember that tornado. Like I remember, because what year of college was that for you? So I was in high school. Year. So I was a freshman in high school. Yeah, and I do remember it being really, really bad. And I don't know. And like you said, I do like. There's a scene. One of the scenes in Twisters where it really highlights it is when the part where they split. You know, they're following each other, and then she tells them to go left, and then the other group goes right, and they're waiting for that tornado to hit, and it's really loud and dramatic, and then all of a sudden it just dissipates, and then like it's just silent, and they're all like, was that it? Like, is it? Yeah. But like the sound difference in that roaring, like I've heard people describe it as like it sounds like a freight train full of semi trucks like crashing, basically, because it's so loud.
It is like it is almost impossible to replicate without being in that experience, you know, because again, just the sheer force of nature combining with itself, you know. I mean, it's just it's crazy. It's crazy. Like I said, and the original house that Christian and I and two other guys were supposed to move into got completely gone. Like there was no house left on that lot. And that was another wild experience that that we had, was just driving through the city that was, you know, because literally it's leveled, you know. I mean, it is though so special to see the resurgence of support from the community after the fact, because I mean it is a tragedy that affects everyone in the area, but everyone comes together to help, which is it's a beautiful thing out of something, you know, not so beautiful, but that's what happens, you know, as people unite after situations like that.
Yeah, and I think they do a good job in Twisters of showing that, right? Like how they're making fun of them for selling T-shirts or whatever, but they're like, oh yeah, we use it to give people meals after the fact. You know, I think there are people like that, you know, that are prepared to help in those circumstances, which I think is cool that they showed that in the movie.
Yeah, they did a great job of making that crew seem like a bunch of asses at first, because like I thought when I saw them selling merch, I had the exact same thought of like, damn, like that is fucked. And then I started to notice what was actually happening. And then of course she spells it out. But that was, I think, a really good direction that they had with the film, was to make you not like this Glen Powell crew, but then halfway through you're realizing, all right, this is actually the crew. Like this is the crew, you know, versus the other guys who were out there trying to capitalize on the recovery aspect.
Yeah,
which is real too. You know, I mean, that is
very true.
Totally real.
Well, my dinner's ready, so I got to get out of here. But before I do, what do you rank Twister and what do you rank Twisters?
I think I gave them both 3 out of 5s on Letterbox. Like I said, for me, Letterbox ratings go like this: 4 and 5s are like bangers. I want to rewatch them right now again. Twisters for me is a great movie that I could watch every summer. I think moving forward, it's a great outdoor movie. It's a great summertime movie. It's a great elemental kind of movie. But it's not like I'm not dreaming about it. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
real though. That's the thing. Is like people. I would. I mean, I went through a tornado, but not like it didn't affect me personally. Like it has obviously millions of people out there. So like that would be an interesting conversation to see how a real tornado survivor or someone who was affected, directly from a tornado, what they experienced this movie, if they can even watch this movie, because it really does pull from reality and in a way that I think would highlight a lot of emotions people have experienced being through that. So that would be something interesting. But three out of 5s for me across the board. And what did you say you gave these?
So I gave Twister a 2 out of 5 because I can't get past that thing I was talking about earlier with their destroyed equipment being perfectly fine a minute later. And then Twisters, I gave a 3.5, and it could have been a 4 had they just let Daisy make out with like literally anybody. Just it could have been anybody, any of them, any character. I feel like I was robbed or something. And people are going to get upset about me saying that, but you know what? Fuck you. I don't care. So
it's out there. It's out there. But Philip Seymour Hoffman gets a 5 out of 5 on Twister for his acting and his presence and his comedic energy. Rest in peace.
So
Philip
good.
Seymour Hoffman. Hell yeah.
Rest in peace. All right, brother. All right. We will talk next week. We'll see you then. Of course. See y'all.
Sounds good. Peace.